Hello, my name's Nathan. I'm a technician at Chapman Machinery. What we're going to do today is we're going to go through the TF350 and any problems and fault codes that we can get with them. What we're going to do first is test the machine. We're going to turn the machine on the control box. We're going to put it on to number 5 and we're just going to run it to check it. As you can see, the F1 fault code came up on the control box. When this happens, if you get your handbook and turn to page 24, there is a troubleshooting guide for you. And the counter doesn't operate. It comes up with F1. It's telling you to go to page 17. And if we turn to page 17, what it'll come up with is sensor change and adjustment. If you look through, it will come through to what we need to do. One of the main problems that we do occasionally get with the machines is this cable, main cable here, if I just unplug it, gets trapped either with the wheel of the quad bike or something gets dropped on it. What we've got here is an old cable that we have removed off a machine before. What we need to check is the back of the pins, and as you can see, one of the pins has gone slightly rusty. So all that needs to be done is undone, restripped and refitted. Also, another problem that we actually found with the wire is it actually been trapped. And what happens is it causes not enough of the power to go through for the control box to recognise it. What we're going to do is we're going to show you how to actually remove the sensor and spinning disc out of the machine. The only tools really you need to do this job is 2 17mm spanners and 1 pair of cutters. What we're going to do first is we're going to remove the side plate so we can start getting to the workings. So if we just loosen this off, we remove this side plate, what you'll see now is all the electrics for the machine. All we need to do is if we just unplug this one connector here, that is your motor drive. What we need to do now is just snip the 2 smaller wires, so that is now your sensor cable. What we're going to do is remove the big plate from the top of the machine. And as you can see now, we're into where the sliding plate is. As you can see, the slide is actually stopped open. So all you need to do is unhook the spring off both ends, completely remove it. What we need to do is we've got to remove the two bearings off the side to get the plate out. So if you get your two 17mm spanners, move up some washers. Right, what we're going to do now is just lift the plate, hold it onto its side to pull it out. What we've got now is the actual unit that we need to have a look at. If we remove the two adjuster handles off the side with the plate, and now the motor is ready to come out. When you take it out, if you hold it on the angle, she should just come straight out like this. What we'll do now is we'll go to the bench and we'll show you how to set and test the sensor. Right, as you can see, we've now removed the motor and plate out of the machine. On first inspection, you can see there's quite a big gap between the sensor and magnet. Normally we need to be about 2 to 3 mil. So what we'll do is just hold it in the vise. Before we do that, we are just going to put the machine on. Just run it to check, make sure it's still throwing the F1 code. And as you can see, it's still coming up with F1. So we'll just turn the machine off. So what we'll do now is we'll get a pair of long nose pliers and a small Phillips headed screwdriver. And all we're going to do is just slightly loosen the bolts. And we're just going to move it. Now what I've got here is an old bit of steel rule, just to try and set it to about 2 mil between the gaps. And all we're going to do now is just tighten it back up, just to stop the sensor moving. Right, so what we're going to do, now we've set it, I'll just tilt that a bit. As you can see, the sensor I've moved closer. We'll just run it for another 5, just to show you how much closer the machine is. And as you can see, she's counting down quite nicely. Right, what we want to do now is just to make sure, doubly, we'll just put it on to run, leave it to run up to about 100, have a cup of tea, and hopefully, if there's no F1 fault, you should be fine now to go back into the machine. Right, what we're going to do now is refit the motor and sensor unit back into the machine. One of the main things is when you're putting this back in, just be careful you don't trap the motor cable. But just put it back in on the angle, she'll slide back in. Put your plate and your fittings back. And tighten them back up. Right, what we're going to do now is put the main plate back in. And we're going to refit the bearings. One thing you must remember is when fitting them back, there is a washer on the bolt, put it in, and there should be 2 washers, then the bearing, then another washer and the nut. Now we'll tighten them back up. Next thing we're going to do is refit the spring. Always remember to put it on to the mainframe hook first, then just pull it and slip it back on. What we're going to do is we're going to leave this plate off for now, and we're going to refit the electrics. So before we put the plug back on the motor, we're just going to snip these off. Strip the wires, and the same with the sensor wires. And what we're going to do is going to line these wires up like so, twist them together. The reason why we leave it so long is just so you can make sure you can twist the 2 wires together. Just trim the end up a bit and refit the connector. And then just have a quick little pull, make sure everything's in there solid. And then do the same with the next cable. You can see everything's now connected. So what we're going to do now is just reconnect the motor, and all the wiring is now back together. Before we're going to put the side plate back on, we're going to plug it all in, retest it, make sure everything's still sensing and working okay. So just plug it in, turn it on. As you can see, we're counting. What we can do now is refit the safety guards. So while we're here, we'll just put the side plate on first. Tighten that up. Refit the base pan. Now before we finish, just give it another run, just to make sure. As you can see, everything is now correct and working properly.